And within the university system, no, I must place the union in proper pathway for people to understand.
Hello and welcome to the program. Now, 2 weeks ago, the Nigerian Senate raised the alarm that the 19 northern states of the Federation were under serious threat of drug abuse. The Senate says over 3 million bottles of codeine cough syrup were consumed daily in Kano and Jigawa states alone. Across the 19 states in northern Nigeria, young girls, working class ladies, married women, unemployed youths displaced by Boko Haram insurgency are reported to be involved in drug abuse. And codeine cough syrup, of course, is now the new high. The senator representing Borno Central, Baba Kaka Bashir, moved a motion in the Senate calling on authorities now to check the rising scourge of pharmaceutical drug abuse among youths. The motion was co-sponsored by 37 other senators. That gives you a sense of just how important this issue is. Now, the lawmakers say the uncontrollable abuse of pharmaceutical drugs has destroyed mothers in homes as they use codeine and other drugs as an escape from their abusive relationships and other social problems. They also revealed that secondary school students consume codeine cough syrups regularly and that pharmaceutical drug abuse is threatening a generation of northern Nigerian women. Now, according to research, codeine is an opiate drug that is used for pain relief and suppression of stubborn cough. It is a very addictive drug that is controlled. Now, among the negative effects of codeine are respiratory depression, drowsiness, nausea, vomiting, constipation, and dysphoria. Now, the abuse of this substance across Nigeria, especially in the north, has been a source of concern to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. In 2015 alone, the NDLEA says it arrested over 2,205 people in the Northwest geopolitical zone over pharmaceutical drug-related abuses. The number has now gone up. Joining me now to discuss this issue further is Biola Paul Ozie, who is the chairperson of the Lagos State chapter of the Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria. Madam, thank you very much for coming on the program. Quite surprising that this drug is supposed to be controlled in Nigeria, but you know, people could just walk into pharmaceutical stores and buy them. Yes, I'm talking about this codeine cough syrup now. They're just freely available. People walk in, buy them, no control, when it's supposed to be controlled.
Thank you very much. Now, let me first make a distinction. There are controlled drugs, there are drugs we call over-the-counter, and there are drugs we call prescription medicine. Unfortunately, the quantity of codeine inside these cough medicines, they are not sufficient for them to be put under what we call prescription medicine. So the cough medicines are actually over-the-counter.
So
over the
you
years.
don't need a prescription.
So you actually do not need a prescription to access it. So you can really walk in and ask for it. But that notwithstanding, with the prevalent situation in the country, I feel this is the time for our regulatory authorities to begin to look at the way of probably moving this product, this particular set of drugs, from the over-the-counter to
But even though it's over the counter, it's still controlled, right?
Yes. Okay, control in that sense is talking about access to medicine. Access to medicine is supposed to be restricted. Medicines or drugs, as it were, they are not, they are not articles of trade. They are not something people should just use without being asked to use them. You can't just pick up a medicine and use. In our home parlance, we tell people that, look, for every drug, there is also a side effect. There is also probably an adverse effect. That means that that drug or that medicine can do you good, it can also do you harm. To that extent, there is control over the usage of drug, there is control over the distribution of drugs, there is control over the practice of pharmacy in the nation. And that's why you see that drugs, as it were, they are under the federal exclusive legislative list, which means that it is the federal government that legislates when it comes to drug use, drug consumption, drug distribution, and the practice of pharmacy.
Why has this codeine syrup become the new hive, especially for young ladies? I mean, young ladies, I've seen quite a lot of them, and now we're hearing it's so rampant in the north. Anyway, that's an open secret if you ask me. Why has it become so attractive?
Now, I think the only reason it's attractive to people is because of the feeling of the high, the general feeling of high that people feel. They feel a sense of relaxation, euphoria, having taken it. And so they feel that, oh, my problem is settled for now. So that sense of feeling
Sends them to sleep.
send them to sleep. They get into, they just get into an euphoria that they feel that, look, everything for now is ended in the world. So they can get away from their problems temporarily. But in the course of trying to get away from your problem temporarily, you also get hooked on these drugs. And then I think the influence of peer pressure, it's also one of the things that's making more people to be recruited into these very appalling habits that makes people to take cough medicine with codeine. And when they are taking it, they are not taking it based on medical prescription.
Yeah, because I've seen people, I've seen ladies who take 2-3 bottles at a go, because if you take based on prescription, say for instance, don't take more than 10 ml. 10 ml would certainly not have effect for them, because for some of them, they say their tolerance level is now so, they tolerate the drug, and so they become so they just have to take so many bottles to attain that level of high.
Now, one of the things I also feel is that the drugs are easily accessible, unlike the other things that could make them, also feel high, which are maybe probably costlier and not readily available. And like you have mentioned, women can easily go into pharmacies. They can easily go into some places where drugs are sold and access this thing. Unlike some of the hard drugs that we are familiar with, they might not want to go ahead and take something like heroin, cannabis and all those stuff. But now codeine, being an opioid, being a drug that can be accessed this way, and that's why you see them, they are not only taking 1 bottle, they are taking 2-3 bottles, pouring it into
3 million bottles consumed in just 1 year alone.
That's one too. We have had cause to review what the senator raised. It might not be everything that's going into Kano and Jigawa, as it were. It could also be, because we have porous borders, it could also be into the various other West African states all around that, when you said
when
consumption.
You look at the populations,
yes.
When you look at the population of these states, Kano, Jigawa, sometimes, it's difficult to doubt that, that number of codeine cough syrup will be consumed in that
on a daily basis.
Yes,
that's a huge quantity if people are consuming that on a daily basis. And of course, one of the things the Senate or the senators has been able to say is that drug abuse is rampant in these parts of the country, and it's not only limited to youths. Women are also engaged in it. Young girls are also involved in this habit, and that's an habit I want to believe has been here for long. But as far back as 6 years ago, we were in Abuja as an association, as a national association. We had a conference in Abuja, and we used the opportunity to sensitize the public and work against drug abuse, because this thing has been existent ever since. And one of the things, we have mentioned the issue of access to this drug. It's so easy for those of us that are registered premises. If we say, look, we are not going to give it to you, I'm not going to sell more than a bottle to you, by the way, what is your kind of cough? Some of them walk away, and some of our people, they have the audacity to go and get it, maybe in an open drug marketplace, and come back to show you that, look, you see what you said you won't sell to me, I've been able to access it. So what are we talking about? We need to resist access to drugs, all forms of drugs. You see in our bus stores, people sell drugs.
That's true.
In buses, they sell drugs. On the way, they hawk drugs. In marketplaces, they hawk drugs. So as an association, over the years, we have been drumming it into the ears of the government that, look, open drug marketplaces should be a thing of the past. Drug marketplaces should not be something that we glory in as a nation. If we shut down these drug marketplaces, it will be easier to address cases of drug abuse and drug misuse in our environment. But look at the way the level at which we are in, because when somebody abuses drug, it's not only deleterious to himself or herself, also to the society at large, because it's when people are under the influence of drugs, they perform all kinds of atrocity. And I think this wake-up call that is coming from the Senate now needs to be addressed squarely, so that we can curb this trend among youths, among women, as well as among young girls.
And the fact is that it's not just in the north alone. Even though it's rampant in the north, we're beginning to see it also in the south of the country as well.
Yes, it's also rampant in the south. It's now nationwide. It's pan-Nigeria, everywhere, from the north to the south, from the east to the west. People abuse codeine containing products, especially the cough medicine. It is rampant. We see it. As practitioner in the west here, we see people come in, they ask for it, and many of them have devised means, especially the youth. We have had youths that walk in and tell us something like, you know, I have this dry cough, because you know the product is meant for dry cough. And so by the time you begin to engage them, you find out that it's not really that they have a dry cough, they just want to have that bottle of cough containing codeine from you. Then we have had youths that walk in and they will say, you know what, the doctor wrote something with codeine for my mother, my grandma. And you know, when you get such messages, the way they look, the way they dress also will have signal something to those of us that are pharmacists that this person is likely to abuse it. So on a daily basis, we see that. And we have seen clients, customers walking, and when they know that when you are going to refuse them, they become aggressive. They actually jump at the shelf, struggle with the salesperson,
really?
Or yes, to go and grab a bottle.
But we also cannot deny the fact that some of your members are just freely selling these things just because they want to make money. They're freely selling this the medicine.
I quite agree with you that it is possible that some of my members are doing that. But I want to tell you that many of our members have been sensitized on this. We even tell them some of the realities on ground, and we tell them they have to be careful when they have to dispense this. And with that, we also warn them, you can continue to keep this. If you know you won't be able to engage anybody regarding the usage of the codeine products, why do you stock those things? Why do you stock them? Why do you sell more than one bottle? But like I've told you earlier, it's not only my members, though they are registered to sell those things and offer those products because they are simply over-the-counter products, but there are countless number of people there. The PPMVLA, the illegal drug dealers, illegal premises, illegal outlets all around that the government has not been able to curb. They are all there, that even if those of us that are registered are not giving these things out, you still find out that many of these people that are addicted to the drugs will go the length and breadth to go and get a bottle or more bottles of these things.
What's the danger in having so many people consume this codeine cough syrup on a daily basis?
It's
what's
going
the danger for us?
Thank you very much. As a nation, it's going to affect us, especially our youths, because among the side effects we could get from consuming some of these cough medicines are things like, because they contain opioids, you begin to have psychiatric problems. Eventually, such people who have a lot of psychological problems, they can go into depression. Such people can begin to have organ damage like liver cirrhosis. They can have kidney injury. They can become drowsy. They can begin to have seizures. So what are we talking about? That means we are not really safeguarding our future. We are not controlling the system in such that we can preserve the lives of our youth. There is a lot of danger when they consume some of these things. Some of them get violent with other people they are living with, or people that are just in their society or in their community. They can they can begin to suffer, psychiatric problems. And what does that mean? It's going to waste our resources, because for you to rehabilitate somebody suffering from drug addiction, it's going to take a lot of money from the system. Now we run a health system where we don't even have adequate resources to manage our health system, are we now going to now have such a huge burden addressing drug abuse? So that's not a good one for us as a country, and I think all hands will need to be on the deck to make sure that we address this headlong.
Mrs. Biola Policy, thank you very much for coming on the program, and thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Well, we'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we're still going to continue this discussion. We'll be speaking to a pharmaceutical manufacturer to give us their own perspective on all of this. Stay with us. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DEJI360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.